Hey, welcome back. So today we are doing a book called At First Smile by Melissa Whitney. And first of all, I really liked the cover. It's not overdone. There's a picture of a guy with black hair and sunglasses and a beard. There's a boxer, and the whole cover is yellow, and it's got this like yellow path going along it. And at the bottom of the book is a woman wearing a red rimmed glasses, a red dress, and black heels, and she's holding a cane, the kind of cane that people with vision impairments need to use. And the title, At First Smile, at first is written in a nice fancy script, and then smile is regular bold letters, and then the L is a hockey stick. And I really liked the cover because it's simple, but it tells you everything you need to know about the story itself. The main character, Meadows, is a legally blind woman. She has extremely limited sight, and then Rowan is a hockey player who has, perfect vision. And then he also has a boxer named GB. And the relationship between Penn and Rowan and GB is absolutely the most wholesome thing in this whole book. I love how Penn basically picks on Rowan. The two of them start dating, but she tells Rowan that GB, the dog, is her boyfriend, and he'd better be nice to him. And GB absolutely eats up all the attention that Penn wants to give him. And the book was really enjoyable. It's another one that I was able to get through in a day because I was just so taken in. And Melissa herself is legally blind, and I thought it was really cool that someone who has the same disability as Penn Meadows was able to write and bring her own experiences and her own frustrations and her own struggles with getting around in the world with limited sight to in a way that educates people. There's she's got an ex-boyfriend, which I'm not a violent person. I promise I'm not a violent person, but again, just like I want to kind of lump Alex with Mason from Not Actually. They both need their butts handed to them. Like, I'm glad that Rowan didn't throw a punch because I don't want Rowan to get in trouble, but somebody needed to kick his butt. Anybody. I don't even care. Like, Penn. I would have loved to see Penn beat the crap out of him. That would have been hilarious, because Penn is the sweetest person in this book. She's so nice, and she's always trying to see the best in people, and she is absolutely not a violent person, but I would have loved for that sweet exterior to melt away just long enough to land a solid punch into Alex's face. That would have been great, because she does have a feistiness about her. She has no problem advocating for herself and others with disabilities, not just people who are blind, but people who are in wheelchairs, people who, who can't get around the world in the same way that those of us who are able-bodied can. And some of the things that people do, sometimes it's because they're trying to be, they think they're being kind, but they're being dismissive, or they're diminishing the person with disabilities without even realizing it, and they don't think they're doing anything wrong. They don't think they're being hurtful. And for instance, there's one of her friends is explaining the difference between Rowan and Alex. She's like, Rowan speaks up for you, Alex spoke for you. And the difference in that is that if Penn is not able to defend herself in one way or another, so if someone's like, oh, well, you know, it's amazing that she can do this when she's blind, and Rowan's like, that has nothing to do with it. If Penn's not there to defend herself, Rowan will be like, her blindness has nothing to do with it. Of course she can do that thing. She's a capable person. That's why she does this thing. And when she is there, he gives her the space to speak up for herself. So like when they're checking into a hotel, the desk clerk sees Rowan, an able-bodied person, sees Penn and sees her cane, and immediately assumes that Penn is incapable of speaking for herself for some reason. And so she asks Rowan, does she want her own key? Instead of turning to Penn and asking Penn, ma'am, do you want your own key? And it's one of those little slips and slights that I myself would have made when I was working in a hotel. I would have absolutely done the same thing, just assuming that the able-bodied person was taking care of her and not realizing that she doesn't need taken care of. She's there with somebody because she wants to be there with that person, not because she has to have a person. You know, and Rowan doesn't answer the question. He lets Penn answer the question, and Penn is like, yes, she would like her own key. And it's done in a way that, like, she's not being snotty about it, but she's saying it pointedly enough to where the service desk person knows, oh, okay, I should have spoke to the person in question. And it does make me more mindful of how I interact with people, especially people who are not as able-bodied as me, and to not dismiss them as being incapable, or especially incapable of answering for themselves. You know, there's these small human decencies that we give to anybody around us, but it seems like when we get around somebody who is more challenged than we are in one aspect or another, whether it's sight or their ability to walk or their ability to hear, we immediately shut down the communication to them and communicate with everybody else, and we don't offer them the same human decency that we would somebody else who is more able-bodied. And it's not something we do intentionally. It's not something that we're doing maliciously. It's just in our brain, for whatever reason, we associate if this person is with somebody else, then that person is taking care of them, regardless of whether they need taken care of or not. And that's what I love about Rowan, is that he doesn't want to take care of Penn. He wants to be at her side just because he likes her. He thinks she's amazing, and she is, because she does all of these things. She's constantly advocating for other people, even when she's tired, even when she just doesn't have anything left. She will stop if she hears somebody speaking incorrectly about sight limitations. No matter how tired and run down she is, she will take the time to go and explain her vision. For instance, when she's in an airport and she hears a boy say, "Mommy, what is she doing?" She doesn't have to see the boy to know that there's a kid pointing a finger at her, and listening to the mom's explanation and realizing, well, not quite. You know, the mother says, well, that's her stick, it helps her see. And she's like, no, that's not what happens. Having a cane does not automatically let me see. It helps me navigate around the world and understand what obstacles may or may not be in my way and where I'm at in the world, but it doesn't give me vision, and I'm still limited in that I have to make an estimation based on what I'm hearing and what I'm feeling and what the cane is telling me. I do love that she gave her cane a name. She named it Cane Austen. Anything that is Jane Austen related, I absolutely eat up. I love it. I love all of the banter. There's every person in this story feels like a real fleshed out person, and I was right there with Rowan cringing when Damien was like, yeah, Mom says if Dad keeps cussing, she's gonna have Grandma Williams move in with us. And he's like, ooh. And Pen's not the only one in the book that's disabled. Rowan's agent is also in a wheelchair. He's wheelchair bound. And so it's a very entertaining story that I absolutely loved, that comes with its own little education of how the world looks to somebody who isn't as able-bodied as we are. I like to tell people that any writer can write a story about a man and a woman getting together and meeting and falling in love and having their happily ever after. A good writer can make you root for the couple, because any writer can say, okay, here's a guy, here's a girl, they meet, they fall in love, they overcome some obstacles, and they end up with their happily ever after. Okay, great, but give me a reason to root for this couple. Tell me why I want this couple to have their happily ever after. And a good writer can do that. A great writer makes that all secondary, because they draw you into the world and you're just right there walking the streets with the characters. You're in the airports, you're in the hotels, you're in the park, you're wherever they are, you're there, and you're seeing it as if you're walking right next to them. And that's what Melissa Whitney does. I smiled the entire book. The whole book I was smiling. I loved it so much. And I do love how she, like I said, when she's discussing she discusses the issues with how the people who have disabilities are navigating the world, and how we can, as able-bodied people, can make that world more accessible to them and make them feel more seen and heard and respected, without, that we're not taking away their dignity just because of their disability. And I love that doesn't compromise the story, that they go so effortlessly and organically hand in hand that one without the other just doesn't exist. It can't exist. It doesn't make sense for them to exist. So, and Melissa, the way she's written Penn is an only child. Rowan is not an only child. He has two brothers, Gillian and Finn. Finn is a romance author, and Gillian is a chef. And then he also has a buddy, Wes. He calls it a forced best friend. Wes is not only his partner at a bar. There's a bar that he and Wes own, and Wes is kind of the manager, but when he's not doing that, he's also doing the audiobooks for Finn's books. And Penn really doesn't know much about hockey, you know, so getting into Rowan's world, he's not, it's not second nature to her. But getting into Penn's world is not second nature to Rowan either. He's not used to dealing with people with disabilities, and he is enjoying learning how to be a better advocate and how to be a better person in this world. And Penn not only is, like, she has her own job. She is an advocate, a disability advocate, and she's also working with, works at a hospital. And she says her favorite part of it is the weekly birthdays for the kids that are sick, and just having this little celebration with the kids. And Rowan's manager, because of his being in a wheelchair, his wife is an advocate for the people with disabilities. So she already knows who Penn is because she's seen Penn's social media for advocating for people with disabilities to go and live a normal life. That, like, yes, we have disabilities, we have our limitations, but we're not without our ability to enjoy the world. And she'll go to different places, and if they have different accessibilities, she points out those accessibilities. And what it ends up doing is, the more popular she gets, the more other places are like, oh, wait, we want to be featured in her thing. How do we make sure we're accessible? You know, how do we make sure that our attraction has accessibility for people who are blind, and people who are in a wheelchair, and people who are having to walk with canes, and walkers, and different things like that. How do we make ourselves more accessible, so that she'll come and check our place out and tell people to come here? And what it ends up doing, yes, it's selfish on the business's point of view, because they're like, oh, we just want more people to pay money to come here. But what it does for Penn and others like her with other disabilities is it makes the world more accessible to them. And I think that it's great that she was this. It wasn't enough for her to just get a job and do something she loved, but to be such an advocate and say, you know what, I am not happy with my world the way it is, so I'm going to try to enact these changes to get this world in a way that is more accessible and more friendly, to be able to keep everybody together. You know, you don't want to be isolated or excluded from your group of friends on their adventures just because of a disability that you can't help. And like I said, I love the storyline. I love the relationships between Rowan and his brothers, and how he works to heal the relationship between him and his older brother. And even though Penn is not familiar with Rowan's hockey, and she's not necessarily familiar with Gillian's food, she and her friends are very much on the know of his brother Finn's writing. They all love his novels, and Wes is their favorite narrator. So they're like, Penn is like, yeah, I'm dating you for your dog, but now I'm dating you for your early access to your brother's books. But she also does like Rowan a lot, and there is a lot of chemistry to get to the two of them, between the two of them. There's a lot of respect between the two of them of how they truly are outside of how society sees them. And you got these different, you got this tension between Gillian and Penn's friend, I think her name is, it starts with a J. I think it's Julie or Jody. But then she's got her she's got two friends. She's got what she calls her bi-coastal besties, and Jojo. Jojo is one of her besties, and then I don't know, I can't remember the other one starts with a T. I was so invested in Rowan and Penn's that the Penn and Rowan's relationship and Gregg and Sasha picking on him. Oh my gosh, the way they pick on him. He may not have his father has passed away. His father passed away when he was like 7, I think he says. And he's dealt with that a lot. He blames himself for his father's passing because I'm not gonna say because that is one of those things that's kind of a drawn out thing, and I don't want to give any spoilers, but Jojo has a bit of a interaction with Gillian, and then her friend Trina, that's the other woman's name, her friend Trina is engaged, but she is starting to have a thing with Rowan's brother Finn, and I really want to see if I would love it if we got 2 more books out of this, where Jojo and Gillian's romance and Finn and Trina's romance. But going back to Rowan and his daddy issues, his father dies when he's a young boy, and he blames himself, and it explains why in the book. But Gregg kind of steps in and kind of becomes a father figure, but they have also more of a brotherly relationship. But the way that Rowan will defer to Gregg and Sasha in more of a parental figure, I love, because he'll yell at Gregg, and Gregg, they'll cuss back and forth at each other, which is what causes Sasha to tell him, if you don't stop your cussing around our son, then I'm going to have your mother move in with us. And for Gregg, that's a real threat. And when Rowan starts cussing, Gregg tells him, keep it up and I'm going to kick you out of the house and I'm going to have my mother move in with you. And they have a little son, Damien, who keeps calling Rowan Uncle Rowan, and Gregg keeps like, he's not your uncle, he's my bonehead client. But yeah, I will leave a link to this book in the descriptions below. Definitely please go and check out this book. Not only would you be supporting a self-published author, you would be supporting an author who can help teach us more about how to make the world more accessible for people who are disabled. And she does such a wonderful job of entertaining and educating at the same time, and I think she needs to get all the recognition for that. She is such an amazing writer. Like I said, I have loved the book so much. I'm don't know if I'm going to be able to get rid of this one. This is another one that might have a permanent spot on my shelves. It does have high spice. There's a lot of spiciness in it, so and a lot of language, as I mentioned. But it's such a fun read, guys. Until next time, that is all I've got for you. Until... what's the next one? Oh, Enforcer's Tale is the next one I'm reading. So until the next video, I'll see you guys there. Bye.